So I did a little extra work this week working with some of the specifics of Mapbox design. That's working with Mapbox Studio just to create base maps for geographic information and for QGIS projects and for web page components. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the design choices that go into it and, kind of demonstrate some of the customization that is available in the Mapbox API. I'm going to start by talking about the grays style. This is a very muted style that uses just grayscale to depict land cover and water. Um, the use case for this would be for a map where we're mostly concerned with administrative boundaries or with the basic shape of a continent. We use a white color for land cover and a darker gray color for water. This shows you where land and oceans are. And you can also visualize where large lakes and rivers are running through the land. And urban centers are marked with simple dots and labels. Now, you would use this style of map when maybe the realism of land cover isn't something that you really care about depicting. You're more concerned with the state boundaries. You would see this made use of in something like the electoral map of the United States. I make use of this in an app that I built, which is the Hardy Crops app, which shows this is just a visualization of the USDA hardiness zones, which give a sense of the average mean low temperature for each zone of the United States. That tells farmers what crops are feasible for them to grow and won't freeze and die in the frost. So all of these maps are customizable. Something like the hillshade could be changed, or the density of urban areas labels could be changed as well, depending on what you're trying to depict. I like to include hillshade because I think that it is an important visual. Hillshade just renders an approximation of the shadow cast by the sun at an angle over hilly terrain, right? So this gives us a visual of where the high ground is, which I believe is equally important in understanding the geography as where the oceans are and where the rivers are. So I like to include it. That's the gray style. Onto a more green style. I created this style for a wildfire graphic. The idea was to show the location of active burns and an approximation of the smoke cloud that was coming off of them. So a green style like this serves us better when we're interested in showing a little bit more of a depiction of the land cover. This is still an artistic looking rendering of the land cover, so it's not as accurate as, say, a satellite image would be, or even like the Mapbox outdoors style, but it's giving us a little bit more of a sense of where there is forest and where there is brushland and where there are crops, and where we are looking at a vegetated area and not a desert, for example. We again use hillshade to denote where there is mountainous areas. This also uses kind of a more subtle imagery of just like a darker green for national park areas. We use place labels. In this case, I'm mostly interested in the natural points of interest. So that's like in this case, mountain peaks and wilderness areas. The satellite style uses just a satellite image, and this is available to you from the Mapbox API. So there's really little to no styling done here. The reason that I included this one is to show just a demonstration of the 3D terrain visualization, which I think is really cool. This terrain visualization can be used on any map style, but paired with the satellite image, it is a very rich visual that is quite realistic. So the idea is at a pitch, when you change the pitch of the map, you can see the contours of the terrain the way that they would possibly look from an airplane or from the ground, and it gives you a really good idea of the mountainous nature of the area. So this can be exaggerated to any degree. What we're looking at here is a valley in Colorado. Um, this is somewhere in the collegiate range. I didn't really pick this very carefully, but something that's cool about this that I want to point out is that when the satellite image is taken, there is actual shadow cast on the hills. So we were talking about hillshade earlier. In this case, we use the real image of the hill shadows, and that becomes a part of the visual. So um, it's like you can see it work really very neatly with the Mapbox terrain. Um, so this is cool. It's mostly just fun. This is not always a very practical way to handle imagery. I see this used mostly in kind of the form of video walkthroughs and animations. Um, I can think of a few use cases though for this. In a recent trip to North Carolina, I did a bunch of mountain biking. Mountain biking is a passion of mine, and it's always a good time to get out in Pisgah National Forest and ride some trails. Um, I was interested in working with the Strava API. Strava is an exercise app that allows you to take a GPS track of your activities, whether you're running, cycling, swimming, what have you. It gives you some data on the travel that you've done. In the case of mountain biking, you're primarily concerned with elevation. So I thought it would be cool to kind of combine the elevation profile with the GPS track. So Strava is already a very well equipped app, but they have an API for developers to do additional visualization, and that was something that I wanted to experiment with. So this is a work in progress, but I just wanted to show what it looks like to plot a track of mountain bike ride over the Mapbox hill terrain. So this is something I'll continue to experiment with. I see these kind of graphics all the time in things like the Tour de France coverage or in Red Bull mountain biking events where they want to say demonstrate what the elevation is looking like on the race course. This lets them kind of point out features that are gonna be a part of the race, and gives the viewer just a sense of what the riders are actually going to be taking on, and gives it context, right? Because a lot of the time you're just looking at one mountain biker in one spot. Okay, just gonna close this out. These are just a few designs that I've worked on. These are ones that I'm excited about and ones that I use pretty frequently. I make all kinds of designs. It's kind of a fun process to actually like get in and play with the layers a little bit. Something that I'll be covering in later videos is how to add actual custom data, maybe more rich data layers to a map. I do like to work with the built-in Mapbox data because it's always available. All of these are customizable. I can make new ones, I can use old ones, I can use built-in Mapbox styles, official palettes, whatever we have. It's really about choosing the right thing that will um, provide a base for your data, right? Um, Different geographic data requires different kinds of base maps. So I'll just close with saying I'm trying to do a little bit more video content. Something I'll be working with going forward is some other Mapbox features, just experimenting with some of the built-in Mapbox designs, and kind of toying with the base maps and seeing what works best for different kind of visualizations. I'm super passionate about creating just interesting and beautiful maps. So this is a great tool for doing that. It really streamlines the process, and it's really easy to integrate these with website components. So that's what I really like about Mapbox.